Welcome to On the Radar Beyond the Forecast. I'm Ryan Shoptaugh.
And I'm Paul Mireles.
And here Beyond the Forecast, we go beyond, Paul. And in the last few episodes, we've really gone beyond, from weather trivia to weather around the world, extreme weather events across the country. We've been doing just about everything.
And the game you love, we're going to be doing that a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, so tune in for that. That's Forecast or Falsecast. We'll have the latest edition on that as well.
I'm still striving for 100.
You're going to get there.
I
think the last episode you did 75%, I
had a passing grade, I think.
Yeah, it was passing.
Which is not good enough. But yeah, we'll get there.
But it's been pretty active. And matter of fact, Hurricane Melissa was many headlines these last few weeks as it hit Jamaica, correct?
What a doozy of a hurricane.
Yeah.
Can you say doozy? I guess you can.
Doozy, yeah.
But yeah, what a hurricane. 185 mile per hour
Category 5.
Wind. Category 5 and top of the line hurricane. Yeah. And you know what? Jamaica, of course, really significant damage there in Jamaica. But if it was going to hit anywhere in that island, I think it hit probably the most remote place on the island for the eye wall to come across there.
They had a lot of days to prepare, but that's a small island.
It's fairly small. Yeah.
And that hurricane was massive in length. So
yeah, did a lot of damage there in Jamaica. So that's what we're going to start off with. We're going to start off with Hurricane Melissa. Okay, of course, it's going to be a long road to recovery for the folks there in Jamaica. It was slammed, of course, by one of the strongest Atlantic storms on record, as you know. Lots of destruction in the tourist town of Montego Bay. And as the pictures there, those are from, I think, different places, not necessarily from Montego Bay, but it was hit quite a lot of damage there as well. All right, lots of destruction, and nearly 500,000 people in Jamaica were without power, and over 700,000 people were evacuated across the island.
Yeah, so it made landfall in southwestern Jamaica. So there's Black River, Jamaica, and then I would say 5 or 10 miles northwest is New Hope, and I believe that was the official landfall from the National Hurricane Center.
I understand that that's a real agricultural kind of center of Jamaica.
Yeah, but the thing is, with a Category 5, you can't escape it, especially with a small island like Jamaica. So you have storm surge, you have water coming inland, and then you have freshwater flooding, all the rain falling from the sky, the winds, infrastructure damage, and with a small island like Jamaica damage, you can't escape it. That's what's the scary part about Melissa.
I've been in about 5 or 6 hurricanes. I think the strongest winds where I was, because you can't always be right in the eye wall.
Right.
It was like 120 miles per hour, maybe 125, somewhere around there. And that's hairy enough because it sounds like demons. That's how the wind sounds. Yeah, real high-pitched sound. Right. So I can't imagine 185 miles an hour. I can only imagine. Yeah,
because you've described in a few stories that you've told me, like Hurricane Harvey, for example. You remember, like in Port Lavaca, that high-pitched whining sound of the winds just peaking at 120, 150.
Yeah, it sounds like the wind just wants to come inside. I mean, that's just the way it is. And if you close your eyes, you almost feel like you're moving. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine a hurricane that strong.
Yeah. So hurricane hunters and aircraft reconnaissance, Paul. We were tracking this storm as it kind of really moved stationary in the northern Caribbean Sea, but the next story is the hurricane hunters, the people, the pilots, the airmen that go inside the storm and drop sondes and different observation tools to take a look at
that is amazing.
The storm.
A lot of people cannot just really fathom how incredible that is right there.
Would you go and do a hurricane hunter?
I would do it. I surely would do
it.
Yeah, there's no doubt I would. But what a stadium effect.
I know. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's truly just like the perfect shape. I mean, I've seen, in previous years, like Hurricane Dorian had a huge stadium effect, but seeing Hurricane Melissa, it's a different level.
Different level, and it almost looks like you can almost see like striations, in
the clouds.
Yeah, to the clouds there. Really incredible. And they'll go from like calm conditions there in the middle, and then once they hit that other wall of the hurricane,
right.
If you've seen the videos before, it just goes from nothing to amazing winds and rain all over the place.
I know. It's the eye wall. It's the most dangerous part. Yeah, so this was hurricane hunters flying through Melissa on October 27th. They made multiple passes through the storm to provide weather data, critical data, to the National Hurricane Center. They had to turn back to base Caraco from inside the eye of Melissa due to forces stronger than normal due to turbulence. That's the scary thing. We've had opportunities for reporters and meteorologists to be on board a hurricane hunter, those C-17s that fly into the storm.
Right.
But man, can you imagine the turbulence going through an eye wall?
Oh,
that is just the scariest part. I don't know if I could. Like, I would want to do the opportunity, but
right.
to see something like this, that's once in a lifetime, obviously. But to go through the eye wall sounds really,
Well, I can tell you
really
this:
scary.
if you're on a commercial flight and you hate, when you hit the pockets,
Can you just imagine the eye wall of a Category 5?
You don't want to be on that plane.
They're buckled in. I bet.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be on that plane. But I would definitely do it. Now, we're used to seeing satellite imagery, and you see the nice little eye wall and the eye of the hurricanes and stuff. Well, here's another look entirely, and it's from space, but it's not from the satellite. The satellites are like in geosynchronous orbit, usually most of them.
Polar orbiting, geosynchronous orbiting, yeah.
Right, but this is the International Space Station, and I thought this was really cool. You can see Melissa on the horizon coming up. Of course, I think the International Space Station, I think it travels like 10,000 miles an hour.
It goes fast. It doesn't feel or look like they're going fast, but relative to the rotation of the planet. Yeah, it's moving fast.
And I don't know about you, but I always like to play a game.
I see
figure out where they're at.
Yeah,
exactly.
like what island is that to the left, or
and I can't figure it out exactly.
No, it's hard.
But look at this. This is cool though, and this sometimes doesn't pick up on satellite imagery. But look at the high clouds, the cirrus clouds, and how it's almost a perfect ring around, away from Melissa there, and it looks it's really great. I mean, it's just awesome.
I had a question.
Yeah.
It's a meteorology question. Is that the CD?
We're not in the false cast. Are we there yet?
Not yet.
I'm having
is
flashbacks.
that layer you're talking about, the central dense
That's a
overcast?
central dense overcast. But I'm talking about away from the hurricane there.
The ring on the outer periphery of the storm itself, of the hurricane itself. It's
incredible.
It just shows you the reach of a hurricane on the atmosphere. There's the storm itself, but it also pulls things in counterclockwise as it rotates into the atmosphere.
Look at how small that eye is, Ryan.
I know, but from space, the fact that you can see the water from the from up in space through the eye and the surface underneath,
and see the water.
I just think that's what's incredible.
That is, it's all incredible.
Yeah, and in high resolution as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go into a little bit of an explainer on Hurricane Melissa. So it was a Category 5. Paul mentioned 185 mile an hour winds, but where does this rank in history and recorded history with other hurricanes? Because Paul, you've experienced hurricanes like Wilma and Rita and Harvey. So, and I did this in 2 different categories. So these are the strongest Atlantic hurricanes based on minimum pressure.
Okay.
Hurricane Wilma had the lowest at 882 back in 2005. Gilbert in 1988 of 888 millibar. And then the Labor Day hurricane, which hit Galveston, had a central pressure of 892 millibar, which also ties what Hurricane Melissa reached in October of this year. So it just shows you that it's in the top 5. It was one of the strongest hurricanes based on central minimum pressure.
Yep, and I was in one of those. I was in Rita.
Yeah, Rita. And then these are based on specifically wind speeds. So Allen had the strongest wind speeds from what I gathered on the data from the National Hurricane Center.
Allen, if I'm not mistaken, it hit like south of Brownsville.
Yeah, I think somewhere in Mexico. Texas, but winds were 190. 1980. Labor Day hurricane is second place. And if you look closely at this, second place is tied with like 5 different storms because of the sustained wind speed at 185. So it's Labor Day, Gilbert, Wilma, Dorian back in 2019, and Hurricane Melissa at 185, and then Milton last year was 180. So.
For some reason, just because, we've done this for many years or whatever, some of these I can't remember very well. I had to look it up, but Dorian, I think Dorian hit like the Bahamas.
It did, yeah.
And Milton totally went by me. I don't even. I'm going to guess right now that Milton was October. It's probably in the Caribbean somewhere.
You can't guess Milton was. It says October right there.
No, not the day.
I'm gonna guess
Milton
but the answer's
was in
right
October.
there.
No. Since it was October,
you can't just guess.
Since it was, does that count in my false cast, my true cast or whatever? Hold on.
Okay, go on.
Okay, since it is October, I'm going to guess that Milton was in the Caribbean. That's the part I was guessing. Not that it was October.
Yeah, Milton and Helene both hit Florida last year in a very September, October timeframe. But I think you're correct. I think they started low in latitude, moved into the Caribbean. I think maybe made landfall in Mexico and then re-intensified in the Gulf, hitting Florida last year. But 2024 was an active year. But Melissa ties for second place on strongest hurricanes specifically based on wind speed.
There is something that really jumps out at me right here.
Okay.
September, October.
Yeah. If you're ever wondering what's the most active time for hurricanes,
water temps.
watch out for September. Watch out for October. People think hurricanes, they don't really do anything in October because it's later in the year. Cold fronts move in, but they hit the United States.
Let me ask you right now: if you had a cruise and it was in the beginning of October,
right,
and it was a discount through the Caribbean,
I would buy cruise insurance.
Oh, okay.
Because if you look at those rates, they're a lot cheaper in August, September, and October for a reason. Because a lot of people don't like to risk it. But the thing is, cruise lines they're looking at the forecast, they're looking at tropical activity, and they're not going to set out if there's a Category 4 or Cat 5 out there. I would, but just keep my eyes open.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, you've been to New York, right?
I have.
We're taking a hard right.
Yeah, switching gears and turning right.
Yeah, turning right. You've been to New York, yes?
Yes, I have.
Okay, the New York subways, they're quite interesting. If you've never been to New York, they are. But look at this guy. Okay, New York commuters navigated flooded subway stations after a squall produced heavy rain on October the 30th. Okay. Ex-user Energy L captured this footage from the flooded steps of Manhattan's Canal Street subway station, where a man could be seen attempting to scoop up rainwater with a trash can.
Oh man!
Have we got to that part of the video yet? Did you see him with the blue? It was a blue trash can.
It might be later in the video. I think it's a.
Here
it is.
Here we go. Right here. Now, that's what L user says or the X user says. But there was no way.
I take everything on X with a grain of salt. It's just.
Hey, you should take everything in life with a grain of salt.
That's very true.
Really,
that's very true, Paul. Good tips.
But I don't think he was trying to scoop up. Maybe later there's some other video where he is trying to. But if you did scoop up water with that, trash can.
How effective is that?
What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to put it?
You have to.
You're going to go up the stairs
because and the trash can's a little bit more heavy with the water accumulated in it, so I'd be kind of tough to drag it up the stairs. But
I tell you what, though, man, sometimes New York can be a beautiful place.
But it can also be a hectic place.
Sometimes it can be kind of a little grimy.
Yeah, especially with like weather patterns. Like they get those baroclinic, extra tropical, nor'easters. Yeah, and then floodings, and then when rain doesn't know where to go, it goes all the way down to the subways, and that can impact travel. So that's a problem.
Thing called gravity.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so from New York City to farther west, we are going towards the desert Southwest.
We're going all the way to Arizona?
Yeah, we're going to Arizona, and this is where viewers picked up
incredible wind.
Yeah, of a microburst. Take a look. A confirmed microburst on Monday afternoon earlier in the month. Ripped off roofs. It knocked down semi-trucks. It flooded neighborhoods in parts of Arizona, and dozens without a place to stay and thousands without power. City officials said more than 130 people have been forced from their homes because the powerful storm damaged several apartment buildings and complexes. But I mean, those winds are just
What would you estimate? It's kind of hard. You got to almost use like the Beaufort scale or whatever.
Yeah. Well, with that last frame, man.
My guess is 80 miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe 90. Especially like if you wait for this video to progress a little bit more with just like the tree.
Gabby's gonna let us know if we got time to wait.
What time is it? What's that? That right there.
Yeah, it breaks that branch
look
off.
at that wind.
That's got to be 80, 90 mile an hour wind.
Yeah. I'm surprised that bike stayed in that truck right there. I mean, it's just winds are going so fast, and then plus the rain moving laterally. It's a problem.
That's not a Raptor, I don't think. I think that's an F-150. I think.
Yeah, well,
but it's heavy enough where it's not even rocking.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little skeptical on 80 to 90 miles an hour. I don't know. Maybe it's just the rain that makes it look faster.
There was a lot of rain. Yeah. That's why I went 80. Because if it was over 90, you would think that it would be rocking.
Rocking back and forth.
People at home.
Maybe his e-brakes on. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. What's next?
We're going to stay out there in the Southwest. We're going to be in California. Wildfire. A brush fire was burning in San Diego at the end. This is at the end of October. The fire burned about 50 acres, and evacuation warnings were ordered, and they were issued for multiple zones surrounding the fire. But that's a pretty big fire there.
Yeah, that's huge. And this is in, you said California? Yeah. So, I mean.
Near San Diego.
Really? So Southern Cali. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they get a lot of rain in California because they get those atmospheric rivers, but they still, face a risk of wildfires. It's not just because of the weather; it's because of the topography. The winds going up and down. You talk about the Santa Ana winds, not necessarily near San Diego, but just the topographical changes in California's geography. It's conducive to wildfires.
Plus, it looks pretty dry.
Yeah, that's why I was at. They get a lot of rain, but it looks dry, so they might be going through a dry season.
Well, San Diego, you don't have to go very far east, and you get into the desert pretty quick.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, talk about microclimates. Anywhere from the coastal region to the inland to the desert to the higher elevations, the mountains.
I believe that's what California. I think that's what it is. I think it's microclimate. It's like Native American.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at if you go to L.A. or San
Everybody's
Fran,
like, what are you talking about?
They have specific weather forecasts for each different individual climate. It's insane.
Yeah, that is something there. So
yeah,
okay.
Well, Paul, we did a lot. We did Hurricane Melissa. We did wildfires, and coming up after the break,
hold on. I think we're still in Arizona.
Are we? Oh, dog rescue. Oh,
yes.
There we go. We're going to stay in Arizona. Let's talk about this right here.
We're in the Southwest.
We're still in the Southwest. So this was in the early morning, a call to Battleship Rock in Arizona after a camper's dog was seriously injured after a fall and could no longer walk. It's so sad. And then, the crew located them in a deep canyon and successfully hoisted the pair to safety, securely lifting the dog in a special canine rescue harness. Thanks to the crew's compassion and care, the brave puppy was reunited with his owner and taken to an emergency vet.
Wow, they get up pretty high.
Yeah.
That dog was probably freaking out.
And I
know I would be.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they're also very responsive, I mean, it seems like they're very in an isolated area in a canyon, and they were there to rescue them. So.
Yeah, I think, what was that, Maricopa County or something
I believe so, yeah Maricopa County.
They're in Arizona, so.
It's a beautiful story.
We spent a lot of time. We really went all over the place in that first block.
We did, just about everywhere.
Just about everywhere. Okay, now we've got some serious video for you. This is just amazing flooding, and we're going to tell you where in the world that this flooding happened. You don't want to go anywhere. On the radar. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On the Radar, Beyond the Forecast. Okay, we had showed you some video of flooding, and it's really horrible flooding. A lot of times weather can be really, really bad, and this location in Puebla, Mexico, was affected greatly by some flooding. And some of this video is it's amazing here, Ryan. Take a look at this. Okay, this is in the state of Puebla. In Mexico. Residents there shoveled mud and debris from their homes. This is on October 12th after heavy rain and flooding swept through the area. Torrential downpours that lashed Mexico killed at least 64 people, lost their lives, and left 65 missing. After it was like a tropical depression. I'm not even sure if it was a depression. It was more like a weak tropical low.
Okay.
Triggered landslides and floods in parts of the Gulf Coast and central states. The unnamed system struck near the end of the rainy season. The rivers there were already swelled and already over banks in some situations.
Right.
This intense rain was not expected to be such of magnitude. That's what the president there of Mexico told the reporters. And the rain also wiped out infrastructure, including footbridges and all kinds of things. Power outages were reported across 5 states there in Mexico, and they've largely been resolved now. And also, they got to worry about dengue fever, so mosquitoes. So they're worrying with that as well. But just heart-wrenching video there out of Puebla.
And it doesn't. You mentioned a tropical low. It doesn't even have to be a hurricane or a tropical storm. Just
a
weak system that just drives in rain for a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Can cause flooding. And then you mentioned that one of the rivers was swelled up, so that can cause inundation and water advancing into homes and property and things like that. And that's what we're seeing. And then mud just makes it worse. You can see most of this video is residents, people from their homes just walking back and forth. Yeah, they're just cleaning up just because of not just the damage, but all the mess that was created as a byproduct of all the rain.
So as we always say, a tropical system, it doesn't have to be a hurricane.
It doesn't.
To cause some big-time problems.
Right. So that was in Puebla, Mexico.
Yep.
All right, so let's go to the Philippines. Now, the Philippines has seen a lot of damage, not just this year, but in previous years, because they're on the other side of the Pacific. They deal with typhoons. They deal with earthquakes, and this is a earthquake in the Philippines that happened recently.
Whoa.
Yeah, and offshore with a preliminary magnitude of 7.6 hit the southern Philippine province. It sent people out of their houses and buildings in panic, knocked out power, and prompted village evacuations from the coastlines of nearby provinces due to a possible tsunami. Children evacuated schools, which was about 5.4 million people and is the biggest city near the epicenter, in Davao City. Yeah. The Philippines is still recovering from a September 30th earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 that left about 74 people dead and displaced thousands of people. So
look at all that stuff just shaking. You see one lady, she's like look, you can see her, she's got like covering her head.
Just in case, debris flying or falling,
Yeah, that would be terrifying. I've never, I've been in all kinds of things, but I've never been in an earthquake.
There's been small earthquakes here, like, we're in parts of Texas, parts of the South, but yeah, I mean, we talked about this in previous episodes, but the Ring of Fire. I mean, the tectonic plates, the action, how they're just, there's so much friction in that part of the world at the sub-level underneath the ocean, and that causes
I would say across the entire world, Philippines they've got a lot of natural disasters.
They really do.
Just a lot of natural disasters. Matter of fact, we're going to stay on this same on the same theme there in the Philippines. We've got some typhoon damage. All right, now when Lisa Beckus, that's her name, returned home after typhoon, I think it's Calmegi, swept through the central Philippines, only her flooring remained. Calmegi said this was the 20th storm. Calmegi was just the latest, the 20th storm to hit the Philippines this year, which is totally amazing to me. Came just over a month after magnitude 6.9 earthquake hit there in the Philippines as well. And she said that everything is destroyed. All we can do is cry. More than 200,000 people were evacuated after the typhoon hit on November the 4th. Residents have started to return home. But Beckus, she had to sell whatever scrap she could just to feed her kids, which is heart-wrenching. And she said that there is some government aid, but I don't know how long that's going to last. And it's just a national calamity there in the Philippines, just horrible.
Yeah. So from earthquakes to typhoons. Matter of fact, one of the last episodes we did, Paul. It was, a forecast or false cast
and I remember.
Trivia.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I probably got that one wrong.
I think maybe. But I think it was November of last year. I think the Philippines was struck by, 4 to 5 different typhoons within a month,
Which I think is totally incredible.
Yeah.
That's why I said false, I think, on that one.
Right. And that was true. The Philippines, not just earthquakes, but typhoons, and they get slammed by, as you mentioned, natural disasters left and right.
Plus, they have a few volcanoes, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, you name it. I mean, there's a lot of things that could go wrong on the West Pacific. That's for sure. All right. So let's go to a different part of the world. We're going to go to Portland, Maine. Have you ever been to Maine, Paul?
I have never been to Portland, Maine.
I always wanted to go. I heard it's beautiful, and they have great lobster there, apparently.
Yeah, like today, I think the highs in Maine are like in the 50s.
Oh, which is perfect. And then it gets cold up there, too. So this is from Portland, Maine. Lots of folks in Portland reported seeing this spiral piece of light in the sky. And when I first looked at this, I was like, what is this? I don't even know. I mean, you think that's aliens. I don't know.
When I first saw that, I was like, oh, hey, I know what that is. That's a Batman. That's where they put the light up there.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that, right? Yeah. It's
like, hey, I know this is Gotham City. It's the backhaul or whatever.
Well, this is likely a rocket fuel dump from the European Space Agency's, I believe it's pronounced, Ariane 6.
Yeah.
You're seeing the frozen exhaust plume catching sunlight, which is just incredible. I've heard of space launches, rocket fuel launches, and you see the byproducts of that moving into the sky, but just that specific shape, you don't see that very, very often.
That is pretty cool. Now, here's my question, though.
Yeah,
it's obviously in space, and it was probably either just before sunrise or just after sunset.
Okay. Yeah, because it looks like twilight,
right?
And there's enough. Yeah,
so there's enough sun hitting that
for the light to bounce back to your eyes.
Yes.
To the surface.
Now my question is: they're in space. There's no wind.
How is it? I don't know.
It's going to stay like that probably because what's going to disperse it?
Nothing.
Will they see this for several nights in a row? I mean,
as it rotates around the planet,
as
it stays in low orbit.
Maybe it moves. Maybe it's in an orbit. Probably, I guess. But you know what will probably happen, and it's really light because it's gas.
Yeah.
So
That's a
maybe
good
it'll
point.
be up
Yeah.
there for a while.
It's not being impacted by any atmospheric wind, so it's just going
No.
to stay like that in space. That's so cool. I'm sorry. That's really cool.
That is cool. It's,
Yeah.
it's frozen too. So if you were whizzing around, that's another thing.
Yeah.
If you were whizzing around in a spaceship and you hit this frozen stuff, I wonder what would happen to you. I wonder if
Would you would the impact to be
would it impact on the-
solidified materials hitting the rocket ship, or
I don't know.
You know, these are all good
We need to-
questions
we need to-
on the radar.
we need to call somebody that knows because I
Interview them.
definitely don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I do know is that right here,
Yeah.
not my hair,
Uh-huh.
my mind is going to be put to the test.
Yes. Coming
And-
up after the break, we'll see
Yes.
if Paul can go 5 for 5, hit 100% on the next edition of Forecast or Falsecast.
Keep in mind that baseball players, they're good if they're 250.
Yeah, but we'll see if you can get above that.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to On the Radar Beyond the Forecast. Paul, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Are you sure?
I think this time it's going to be, I can feel it. It's 5 for 5. It's going to go 1,000, even though most baseball players only bat 250 to 300.
You know, in previous...
Notice how I'm trying to lower the expectation.
You really were, because like before, last episode was like 500. Now you're saying 250. So, you know, I don't... Is that good?
But
Yeah.
I'm going to go 5 for 5. I'm going to bat 1,000.
Because these questions can get tricky. I don't think
They are tricky.
these next 5 aren't. They're not too tricky. You know, I came up with these earlier this week. But anyway, let's go with the first question. In May of 2012, the largest wildfire in New Mexico history struck. In May of 2012, the largest wildfire ever in that state's history struck in May of 2012.
Okay, man, I got to know New Mexico history. I don't know.
Do
very
you
well at
remember,
all.
you know, back in 2012,
May of
like
2012,
like you covering, like maybe on the weather wall, like, hey, there's this huge wildfire, and it's one of the largest in history.
The only thing I can go by is that is not quite peak fire season. I don't think.
like late spring.
So May of 2012, but then again, they have the monsoons like after that. I'm going to say, here we go, Falsecast.
It was true. Yeah.
Was it true?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, the Whitewater Baldy Complex fire. This fire burned thousands of acres over southwestern New Mexico and went on to become the largest wildfire in New Mexico state history. The fire destroyed at least a dozen residences, forced evacuations, and closed several areas. The inferno continues until late July, so it was almost for like a month and a half that it was ongoing.
Okay.
But the inferno continued through that time, and then rain from the monsoon, I guess late monsoon season, finally assisted firefighters in putting out the flames. So,
Okay.
question number 1.
Well, now the best I can do is a B now.
0-1. Okay. Second question. On October 12th, 1957, a powerful tornado ripped through a local airport in New Mexico.
A local airport. So it wouldn't even give me the town.
Yeah,
see,
because
well, it doesn't even give me the
there's
town.
no need
There's
to
no
give
need
you
for that.
Yeah, because it's still in New Mexico.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what's most important. Because as a meteorologist, Paul, you're probably thinking, okay, Rockies, least out of the Rockies.
I'm going to say Falsecast on this one.
All right. Well, the answer is
No
true.
way.
Yeah,
A powerful tornado
yeah,
in
on
New Mexico
on October 12th,
You know what? It must
1957.
have been like Roswell, like eastern New Mexico or something.
It was south of Silver City.
Where is Silver City?
It's like central southern New Mexico. Grant County Airport was the airport. Several planes were destroyed with an estimated $100,000 in damages at the time. This tornado had a maximum width of 50 yards, was found on the ground around 8 to 12 miles in track, and then was rated an F3 in the 1950s.
Was it an F3?
An F3.
For 50 yards wide. That's
It's pretty impressive.
That's
And New
compact.
Mexico, right? I mean, you
That's
don't really
really
hear about
compact.
tornadoes in New Mexico.
But it's possible.
Yeah, you see flooding and severe weather, breakouts.
I love these because, I love these. It
keeps you on your
Even though
toes.
I'm 0 for 2. I love it.
It's okay. You can get 1 for 3. All right. So on May 22nd,
1 for 3.
on
What
May
is this?
on May 22nd, 2014, a powerful dust storm in southwest New Mexico
I'm seeing a theme here.
registered winds of 105 miles per hour.
Man, that is strong winds.
Wait,
a
yeah,
dust storm. Oh my God.
for a dust storm, I don't
Yeah,
know.
in May?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep falsecast.
Okay. You're correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was like,
Also,
hold on, that's a little bit much.
When I was
105.
formulating the question, I was like, what would be a wind speed that would be like?
If you'd have said 65,
You'd be like, ooh.
I might have bit. I might have been like a largemouth bass, and I might have bit on that a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, that was false. But this has some truth to it. In 2014, dry thunderstorms generated strong downburst winds near Lordsburg, New Mexico, with gusts near 60 miles per hour. So yeah, you were in the range of thinking what was correct in your mind.
Yeah, at least you gave me a tidbit.
A little tidbit.
You put in 105. Usually it's so convoluted.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was going to be too overwhelming. I didn't think
you gave me that one. I like that.
Okay,
thank you, Ryan.
Now I know for future questions, bring it down to like maybe 75, 70.
See,
65,
now I'm hurting myself. I'm giving too much information. The lawyers over here. Hey, don't only the necessary information.
Right. Don't give away too many details.
Or falsecast.
All right, question number 4. Earlier this year, a powerful snowstorm struck southern Alabama, dropping over 8 inches of snow in some areas, surpassing all-time historic snow totals. Do you remember a snowstorm earlier this year,
Okay,
Paul?
now see, I'm thinking when I saw earlier this year, automatically my mind goes to the season. But earlier this year was January, February.
Yeah, do you remember any
A powerful snowstorm
historic?
struck southern Alabama, dropping 8 inches of snow, some areas surpassing all-time historic snow totals.
Before you answer,
plausible.
before you answer, do
Yes.
you remember any interesting images that came out from the South from earlier this year? There were some interesting images out of New Orleans, or like parts of the Panhandle of Florida, or parts of Mississippi, or parts of Alabama.
Yeah.
Just think about
it's coming
that.
to me.
Think about that.
He's leading the witness here.
Think about that.
I'm going to go ahead
And
and
say,
say forecast.
you're true. It is true. Yeah, you're right. You're correct. Yes. Get it, Paul.
Yes.
Are you 2 for 2?
2 for 2?
Well, no,
at
you're
500.
2 for 4. Yeah.
2 for 4. I mean,
Yeah, half. Yeah. All right, let's go to the last question and see if Paul
This
can
will be
get
the
this
tiebreaker.
correct. In October 2024, the National Weather Service in Miami broke its own record for the most tornado warnings issued in one day.
That's entirely possible. Entirely possible.
It might be possible.
It might be possible.
But
you know
but
what?
but
hold
you know,
on,
I don't
I'm
know.
feeling it.
You know,
I'm going to go with forecast.
you are correct. Yes, sir. Yo,
As long as I
Hurricane
stay-
Milton.
As long as my head's above water, three out of 5.
But that's a 60%, right? That's
I know it's,
I don't know if that's passing,
it's
but it is better than
I don't know,
50.
Is it passing? Maybe in some schools.
It's
maybe.
it's some academic
I don't know,
curriculum.
Gabby, is it passing?
Got it.
You know what? It's a grade where you may have to do just a little extra credit.
Yes. So
So I don't know what I'm going to do for extra credit.
come and see me after class.
No, I
I
will
don't know. that sounds weird.
That's your false cast, right? That's definitely a false cast right there.
But yeah, Hurricane Milton made landfall on October 9th last year as a major Category 3. The National Weather Service office in Miami broke its own record for the most tornado warnings, issuing 55.
Oddly enough, I do
day.
remember that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I remember some in Southeast Texas and Florida. You'll just see so many red tornado warning boxes on that eastern side of a hurricane.
If you'd have said like another month besides October, I'd have been like probably not.
Yeah.
But October, yeah, it's a dead giveaway there in Miami.
Well, Paul, congrats. Kind of, good job. Maybe next
Hey, if
episode.
you've ever heard of a backhanded compliment,
Congrats.
that was it.
know.
Would you say congrats? I guess.
But you did a good job. You got 3 out of 5 correct on this edition of Forecast
Heck yeah, that's a good job.
or False Cast.
With your false cast forecast.
Well, I was gonna say next episode, test me. Come up with 5 questions.
You want me to do that?
I would love for you to do
I don't know
that.
if I get.
I've got time.
I don't know if I have time, but
Yeah.
you know what? We'll do that. So
Yeah.
stay tuned to On the Radar because that will come.
Yeah, and for On the Radar, Beyond the Forecast, send in your weather photos, your weather videos to kensweather@kens5.com, and we'll feature it on the next episode of On the Radar, Paul.
You know what? I hope people enjoy that segment as much as I do.
It's fun, and reading it and forming those questions, it gives me joy. And then when you answer it incorrectly,
And especially when I do it
when you answer it
even
incorrectly,
more-
it
even
makes me
more
happy.
joy.
You know,
That's when joy just abounds.
right. We'll have another edition of Forecast or Falsecast on the next episode of On the Radar.
All right, see you next time.